Hi everybody, welcome to a Facebook Live with Jeannie. I'm Jeannie Nielsen, the card lady, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. Let me tell you, I meant to be here at 5, but I worked all day at the clinic, got out late, had an hour, almost an hour and a half of traffic, and by the time I got home, I was not inspired to continue my cards. And if you would believe that these cards have taken a 180-degree turn from where they started, it would be amazing. Seriously, they are so different from what I had planned. I was going to use the Bright and Beautiful paper, and I was going to use the Good Feelings stamp set, and I decided, you know, this is not what I want to do tonight. So let me just tell you, I'll share very quickly. My dad is in the hospital. He's actually hopefully going home tomorrow. Oh, I forgot about my Christmas clock. And yes, I'm going at a very random time, but why wait for 7 o'clock when I can go live now? But anyway, my dad was admitted to the hospital on Friday. They're not sure if it was a stroke or what it was. Whatever it was, it actually has reversed quite a bit, and he is just weaker, and he's going to go home on some medicine. The MRI was very promising, but anyway, that's the story. So I decided that I needed something that was going to be uplifting. Uplifting to me, uplifting to anybody that I could send a card to. So that's what we're doing tonight. I decided to use the Dainty Delight stamp set. The Dainty Delight stamp set came out in the springtime catalog, and if you remember, it also had the matching paper. I got rid of my paper, and even if I hadn't gotten rid of my paper, I don't have it right now and can't use it right now. But so I decided to use some other papers, and we're going to do Dainty Delight meets Courage and Faith. Now, Courage and Faith is a very faith-based stamp set. It actually is $1 million salesperson's stamp set. I can't remember who designed it, but I love the sentiments. I love the stamps. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. May the Lord bless you and keep you. In everything, give thanks and be of good courage. Now, all of those are really, really great to have. So I have 4 cards, easy to do, easy to make, and we're going to flip down. Actually, I'm going to flip you up so I can flip down. If you want this card kit in the mail, of course, place a $35 order using the host code that you'll see as soon as I flip down. Okay, so we're going up. Here we go. Let's see. Now what I'm going to do is flip my camera. There we are. Oh, yay. I love when a plan comes together, don't you? Now, like I said, I'm sorry. This is very random. I'm supposed to be live at 5 and instead 5 minutes to 7. Close enough, right? Anyway, let me show you the cards, and I'm really excited about them. I do have to tell you also, these cards are very different from what I normally do because they're rather simple and clean. But they all have a little bit of a special technique. Maybe they don't all have a special technique, but they do have some of a little bit of a technique. So this card, this is the Bright and Beautiful paper. On the back are all those bright colors, but this looked like Fresh Freesia to me, so I matched it to a Fresh Freesia card base, and it has a Blackberry Bliss mat. I'll show you more about this card in 2 seconds. Actually, let's make it, and then I'll show you all the cards as we go along. These are all really easy cards to make. So I meant to start with the blue one, but we're going to start with this one. Okay, so we have our, this is the back of the paper, by the way. So fun, huh? But on the front, it's like a solid ombre Fresh Freesia, and it's really, really easy to stamp on. And yes, I took a chance and I stamped on it and hoped for the best that I wasn't going to mess up. It's really kind of stressful to stamp on designer paper, but these stamps were so easy to stamp on that I'm telling you, it wasn't bad. So 3 3/4 by 5 inch piece of Fresh Freesia, and now I'm going to mat that on a piece of Blackberry Bliss. Rich Razzleberry would have gone really well, but we don't have Rich Razzleberry anymore, so we're just going to let bygones be bygones. Now, not everybody wants to stamp the sentiment in everything, give thanks. So I do have other options. Let's see what we did. Okay, so I have my Blackberry Bliss ink pad, and I have the stamp. It's actually a very, very large stamp. So because it is such a large stamp, rather than making a mess of this stamp, I'm going to take the ink pad to the stamp. I like doing that when it's such a big stamp. That way I end up not really messing up and giving halos to my corners. They're nice and neat. Okay, so hopefully I'd better stand up for this, huh, guys? Okay, we're going to stamp this and hope for the best. Okay, so this is me stamping on the designer paper. Voila, not bad, huh? Okay, so now what I did was I have this piece of cardstock. This piece of cardstock, I actually took a blending brush and some Blackberry Bliss ink that I had really cleaned off. I honestly had taken quite a bit of it off. So here we have it, where all I did was rub it on the fresh freesia again. And then I took one of the dies. This is the die. One of the dies right here. And I die cut out of the blending brushed cardstock, and it ended up with a little bit of a pattern. So here we have it, and what I'm going to do is just, I want to add my sentiment. So what we're going to do this time, I'm going to stick with Dainty Delight, because in case you don't have courage and faith, or if you would rather not, I love the sentiments, but if you would rather not, we're going to use this sentiment, celebrate you. So I'm going to stamp that, hopefully straight, right here in the corner. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now, I did like how this one had a longer verse. It was really nice, but we have to do what we have to do. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is take dots of glue. Let me move my ink pads out of the way. I'm going to take just dots of glue, and I'm going to add it to 4 of the flowers, which I feel that they are the most closely represented with the dies. And I think it's that, and the 4th one, is it down here? It could be down here, or it could be up there. You know what? I'm going to put it down here this time, just to give it a little bit more interest. So you see how tiny those dots are. If you're looking really closely, you can see tiny little dots. So what I'm going to do now is drop on my die cut flowers. So I think this one matches this one pretty closely. You know what I meant to do? I was thinking about this, and I've already put the dots down, but we're going to do it anyway. Let me pick that back up. I want to pop these flowers up, I think. So even though I put the glue dots there, we're going to pop them up. Next one will be easier because it won't have glue on the back. But we're going to pop it up just like that. And then let's get this little one. These little mini glue dots are really relatively easy to fit on here. And even though I have big fingers, they're still working out okay. This flat one, let's see, we're going to put that right there. Almost exactly a perfect match. Then we've got this one here. This is the smaller of the 3 flowers. This actually the smaller of the 2 full flowers. Then this one looks like half a flower, and this one here, this tiny little piece looks like a bud. So we're going to just put that right there. And can my mini dot, mini dimensional fit on here? We're going to see that. I forgot. I have both my dogs down here. My son went to the driving range. If he comes home, there is going to be a lot of noise. First of all, him pulling in the garage, and second of all, them being excited. So let's hope he doesn't come home. I forgot about that. Forgot to warn him. Okay, let me just add the glue to the back of here. Here we go. Just like that. I just kind of generously, lightly add it to my piece. I don't think this needs a ribbon, but what I do think I do want to do is use a little bit of Wink of Stella. Now I have 2 Wink of Stellas, but I have to show you a technique in a second. So let's just use the Wink of Stella on here. There we go. There we go. There we go. Pretty, pretty. Because it had the fresh freesia ink, I think it kind of moved it around a little bit, and look at how pretty that is. What I'm going to do now, they're not exactly a perfect match, but I kind of thought that they brightened them up. These are the In Color pearls. These are the In Color pearls, last year's In Color pearls. No, last year's In Colors in brand new pearls this year. So let's get that straight. Just like that. I don't think I'm going to put one on here. It's just a little bit, well, let's see what it looks like. I may take that back off. You know, I think I am going to keep that there. Even though it kind of completely covers that up, it kind of gives interest. And even though it's an even number, we're not supposed to do that either. I kind of like it. So we're going to stick with it. Okay. All I need to do is add this to my card front. So this is 3 3/4 by 5. And what I did for this mat, I forgot to tell you, it's not 4 by 5 1/4. It is actually a sliver less, like a 1/16 of an inch less on the thing on your ruler. It's that tiny, tiny little mark, less than the 4 inches, less than the 5 1/4 inches. So it's like 5 3/16 by 3 15/16. Just enough to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of interest without being so exact. So there you go. There's our 2 cards. Voila, not bad, huh? Quick and easy. These are clean and simple cards, which is way past my usual. Okay, let's move that out of the way. And let's move on to our first blue card. This blue card has a fun little technique as well. Oh, I've got to show you the card. Here's the card. I love how clean and simple this is too. I realized when I glued this down on my embossed white, it was actually the Flowers Country Meadow. I can't remember the name. It's a new embossing folder. It's kind of the same as like Leaf Fall, where it has 3/4 of it is embossed, and then there is an area where it is not, and that's down at the bottom. Well, guess what? The bottom is actually the embossed area, and I put this on the card upside down. But nobody, first of all, can see that it's flowers, and second of all, if they care, oh my goodness. Okay, so let me show you how I made this card. This is on an Azure Afternoon base, one of my favorite blues right now. That'll change when fall, and even though to me this looks like the perfect winter, the perfect fall, the perfect summer sky, doesn't it? And I guess that's where Azure Afternoon comes from. On your perfect days, this is what this looks like. Okay, I instead embossed this piece with the Fern folder, the Fern 3D folder. And I'm going to attach that to my 5.5 by 8.5 inch card base of Azure Afternoon. Now, what I have to tell you is I have a card here coming up, and it's 4 1/4 by 11 inches. Well, I think that personal preference wins out on if you like the card long and narrow, or short and wide. But notice that no matter what, your card front is always going to be 5.5 by 4 1/4 inches. So whether you do it the long way, so it opens up this way, or it opens up this way, as long as your card front is 5.5 by 8.5 inches, and that's important to the US and Canada, not so much to Europe because they have different A2 card sizes, and I may be completely wrong. Maybe it's not A2, but my point is their card is taller and narrower. That's how, and their cardstock is taller and narrower. So anyway, okay, let us stamp this. And what I did, this is also bright and beautiful, so you can see the pattern on the back. I stamped this in Memento. And to me, this is Queen Anne's lace. And I have to tell you, I was sure that this was Queen Anne's lace until I went to my plant app and identified it and expected totally that it was going to say Queen Anne's lace, and instead it said yarrow. So I don't know if any of you guys are plant buffs out there. Is there a difference between yarrow and Queen Anne's lace? Because seriously, I was disappointed to find out that I was wrong. Okay, so here we go. I'm stamping this straight down in the memento. And that really turned out pretty nice right there. I want to show you something that I decided to do, but let me first stamp the sentiment. I decided to use the Dainty Delight sentiment that says, you see on this one, I said, may the Lord bless you and keep you. And this is courage and faith. Well, I'm also using Dainty Delight for those that may want a stamp set. All my flowers are from Dainty Delight. You're going to see. So I used all 4 of these sentiments also on the alternate cards. So let me show you. This is thank you for your kindness. And this one has to be on this one because this is the only one that's short enough that this is going to fit. So let's see what we're going to do. I'm going to go straight down, hope for the best. Yeah, I think that looks pretty straight. I could be wrong. I'm not going to analyze it right now. But okay, so let me show you what I did with this one. I don't know if you noticed, but this one is fun. Look at how fun that is. A little bit, and it looks like it's glittery, and it looks like Queen Anne's lace, right? Well, let me show you what I did. I have here a palette knife, and I have some of my shimmery embossing paste. All of a sudden, I am so into this embossing paste. What I'm going to do, and I'm taking just this pointy one because I'm just going to dip it in here, and I'm going to dab it on my flowers. I'm going to dab it on all of them. Some of them might have some white to it. Others might just be kind of glittery. You don't need a lot. You do too much, then it's not going to really dry. I'm just doing it. I'm doing it on all these flowers. Even though these down here don't really look to me, now that I look at it, like Queen Anne's lace. So maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's not Queen Anne's lace. I'm sorry. I'm down underneath and I don't see comments. And I have to tell you, please leave me comments. I love comments. I absolutely love comments. And I respond to every single one of them, sometimes days later, depending on my clinic schedule. But okay, I just dabbed this on and I'm going just like that. And what I'm going to do, you can see a little bit of the sparkle already. I'm just going to let that dry. One thing I'm not going to do is let my palette knife dry though, because it will never come off. It'll turn to cement if you don't wipe it off right away. It still has some remnants of the paste from a long time ago, and then you're also going to make sure that you immediately screw your lid on here. And not only have I screwed my lid on, I also am going to put it back in the Ziploc bag and seal that up as soon as I'm done with my class here tonight. Okay, so that's that for just a second. What I did here also, it doesn't take long for this to dry. I probably should have thought of that and started that a little bit earlier. But what I'm going to do, while it's drying, let's just add some glue, and I'm going to add this to my mat. Okay, what did I do? I think I did it's 3 inches by 4 inches, which means that this black mat is 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 inches. 3 inches by 4 inches with a mat of 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. This is basic black because I thought it was very, very striking. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of ribbon here. And I decided rather than tying a bow, what I would do is tie a knot in my ribbon someplace close to the end, just like this. And you can pick your best side. And I'm going to attach that right over my stem of my flowers here. Now, you can glue it or you can use tear and tape. I think, is this dry? Actually, yeah, that's dry already. I'm going to use some tear and tape to hold that down. I want to use something that's acid-free in case I want my cards to last forever. Everybody wants their cards to last forever. The other thing you can use, and Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell it, I don't think it's in the new catalog either, is washi tape. So you can always use some washi tape to attach your ribbon in the back. Scotch tape doesn't end up being acid-free. See how I positioned my knot right over top? And I'm going to put that right over here, just like that. And I'm going to use my scissors, my paper snips that are not ribbon paper snips. Hope for the best. Oh, not bad. This is one of the trio ribbons from the pack. I don't know if you recognize it. There's Lemon Lolly, and there's Pink, and there's this one, which is Azure Afternoon. I'm thinking that this is closest to Azure Afternoon. Like I said, this is from the Bright and Beautiful set. You could also, if you wanted to use pieces that were bigger, use the pieces from the Daisy paper. Oh, I wanted to show you guys my new Genie in a Box. It's my new subscription plan coming out. Totally forgot about that. I don't have the cards handy, so I'm going to have to tell you about that some other time. Anyway, they also have a blue, which is more boho blue. So instead of maybe the Azure Afternoon, you'd want to use the boho blue base. Okay, I'm going to pop this up with dimensionals. Just like that. I'm not going to peel the Terran tape. There's no reason to, because all I'm using it for is to stick down. You know what? And I could just add a couple of these here, and these are going to stay put just because that's where I'm using the outside ones to anchor it. So if you don't peel them all off, it's okay. What do you think? Not bad. Kind of simple. Another clean and simple card, right? Okay, so that's 2 cards, yay, that are not that difficult. Okay, let me do card number 3. I'm very excited about card number 3 as well. Now, this card number 3 was a card that I made with Kathy Bedell when I did her retreat in a box this summer. And I loved her setup, and I just changed instead the sentiment on here. And we're going to do a fun little technique with this one too. So hang on one second. Let me pull up my box. Let me move things around here so I've got room. This is a blueberry bushel base. And I don't know if you recognize the paper, but this paper is actually the gingham paper pack that is available in the annual catalog. I forget what color is in there, but it's essentially Berry Burst, probably Lemon Lime Twist, and Blueberry Bushel. I don't think there's more colors than that, but I could be wrong. But anyway, this is the alternate side of that. So isn't that fun? Okay, so let's make this card. This one says, trust in the Lord with all your heart. And like I said at the very beginning, my dad is in the hospital. And one thing that's really hard to do, especially when things are tough, is to trust. But we have to, right? We all know that. So, like I said, this is the alternate. This is very similar to the gingham paper that was in last year's, it was probably our Valentine paper. It was red, but then the other side was sometimes Pool Party, and I can't remember what else. That was a long time ago. But anyway, so this is the alternate of that. So this is Blueberry Bushel base. My base is 5.5 by 8.5 inches. I scored it at 4.25 inches, flipped it over, and I scored it again at 2.125 inches, which is halfway between 0 and 4.25 to make it easy to remember. Now, I was going to put a 2-inch strip of designer paper here, but 2 inches is a little bit too wide. You actually want, because this is 2.125 inches, 1 7/8 looks really, really good. So that's what we're using, 1 7/8 by 5.25. And that's the perfect measurement. And I'm doing, to make things easy, I'm also doing that on here. On this side, I use the 1 7/8 because then I don't have to worry about which one is which. That could be more like 2 inches, but we're not going to worry about that. Okay, so let's do this. Let's attach this one. I'm going to use the other side. Thank you to Kathy for this inspiration. And I'm going to center that right over here. There we go, just like that. So now I have my contour dies. I don't know if you guys still use these scallop contour dies, but these are some of my favorites. So we are going to stamp in Blueberry Bushel one of the flowers. So let's do that here. Look at this. This is so wet that it's leaked down. I've got to make sure that I don't do that, hold that sideways or stack it sideways, or I'm going to have a runny mess. Okay, I picked one of the flowers again. And because this side I did the flower on the left, and this side I did the flower on the left, I decided that this side I'm going to stand up first, and I'm going to do the flower on the right. So let's do that. Just going to do just like that. Pretty, pretty. I'll clean it later. And then I had my stamp. This one said, trust in the Lord with all your heart, but we're going to use something from Dainty Delight this time. And we are going to say, we're going to find out what we're going to say. Let me put it on the stamp straight, so it's going to stamp straight. And we're going to find out what this says. And I think it says the best is yet to come, but I can't remember. Put that there. There it is. The best is yet to come. There we go. Okay, so you want to see what cool little technique I'm going to do for this one? Where are we? Okay, let me close my ink pad. I used my Blueberry Bushel re-inker, my refill, my ink refill, and a clear block, just a little bit. And I have here a Wink of Stella, which I'm going to have to be very careful about cleaning before I use it again. What I'm going to do is kind of drag some of that ink away. And I'm going to just color my flowers just like this with the Wink of Stella and the blue. Now, I could have done it right after I had stamped, and it would have been more of a washed look, but I just wanted to do a different technique. So this is what we're doing. We're just going to add it here. We're just painting with the Wink of Stella and the ink refill. We'll do some here. We'll do some here. You can see that it's getting lighter as I'm not re-inking. I'll add a little bit to that because that one looks like it needs to be darker flower again. And those look like leaves to me, even though, you know what, even though I think that's a leaf here too, I'm going to color this one too, just to kind of even things out. Okay, I'll clean this later, and I'm going to put my ink out of reach so that I don't make a mess. But here we have some shimmer and shine just like that. You know what I think I would do? And maybe I'll do that before the class. You could easily, I do like the white and blue. I think it's very classic looking, just like that. But I might color these leaves with some green. So we don't have a garden green blend. Don't ask me why. I think I did it once with Old Olive and Shaded Spruce, and I came close. But anyway, I'd probably do something like that for these leaves. So we are going to attach this to the front. And of course, we're going to make sure that we attach it only on the left side. I'm going to put my finger here so I don't mess up. I'm only putting adhesive glue on this side. If I put it on the other side, I won't be able to open my card. Ask me how I know. I've done it. I think we've all done it. You know, you try to be so careful, and then you all of a sudden realize, oh my goodness, I put the glue on the wrong side. Well, you can undo it, but not without a lot of pain. So just try to be careful if you can. If worse comes to worse, take a pencil and make a mark on the back so you know which side is supposed to have the adhesive. That's a good clue. That's a good tip. Okay, I have here I think this is 3 by, is this? Okay, 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. This piece of basic white, and that's going to fit underneath here very well. So what I'm going to do is open that up. I'm going to attach it closer to the seam over here. And that'll be something where I can write or stamp my message inside. I want to show you this, but I don't usually attach until I have stamped, because it's almost like inviting an error, right? There we go. Now it's perfectly closed up, and voila. Isn't that so cool? So on the inside, it looks like another panel when it's closed, but just like that. And you're not using a whole piece of paper. Now, because this is 1 7/8, you can get 3 pieces out of 1 6-inch piece of the gingham paper. But look how pretty that is. But we're not done yet, because I decided with these flowers, I love butterflies. So let me take my putty end of my stamp, my take your pick tool. Love this. I always use the putty. And I'm going to put this up here, just like that. Now, the other thing I was thinking, and you know what? When I did it before, I used, oh, where are they? Where are they? I don't see them. When I did it before, I used the pearls, the festive pearls, which were last year's Christmas mini, and they're in the main annual catalog this year. Beautiful, beautiful pearls. But you know what? Maybe what I instead will do, since I can't figure out where I put them, gee, what a surprise. Maybe instead, well, where did I just put those pink pearls? Well, you guys, what it's going to end up having is, oh, here we go, for my Blackberry Bliss. How about we instead use these in color pearls? We could use the Orchid Oasis, which are more purple, or we could use the Starry Sky. And I think Starry Sky is very close to Blueberry Bushel. So, but the Orchid Oasis might be a little bit fresher and lighter. So maybe we'll try the Orchid Oasis. Just add a couple of them to the center. And I do think that I'm only going to add it to, you know what? I'm only going to add 2 of them because the other ones seem a little bit too small for these pearls. But these are the 22 to 24 in color pearls. So obviously these colors are going out next May, and the pearls will be gone as well. So there we go. You've got your 2 variations with Courage and Faith here. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Or Dainty Delight, which is what this flower is from. I use the sentiment. So card number 3, also very clean and simple, but a really cool little technique there. Last card, I was thinking I was only going to do 3 cards, and then I got inspired. Isn't this funny that how you can be inspired sometimes? There's 4 sentiments in the Dainty Delight. There are 4 sentiments in Courage and Faith. So I decided for my 4th card, I was going to do this one, Be of Good Courage. And this one, again, is nice and simple, especially if Shirley does all your die cutting. Shirley is my right-hand man when it comes to my classes. She's the organized one of the 2 of us. My nickname would be Chaos and hers would be Organized. Seriously. But so she helps me with my die cutting and getting ready for classes because she is meticulous about counting, etc. But she does such a great job with the die cutting. I do the cutting and scoring, and she does the die cutting. Okay, let me show you this card. This is a really, really easy card. So I had a little bit of trouble deciding on the card base, so I'm going to ask you guys what you think. But anyway, so let me show you. This piece of paper, again, is from Bright and Beautiful. I can't remember what the back looks like. Oh, you know what? We're going to make it anyway. So we'll see what the back looks like right now. Okay. So this is Bright and Beautiful, and this is probably Lemon Lime Twist. The back is this one. So that's the pattern for that. What I'm going to stamp instead is the sentiment from Dainty Delight. Well, it says, oh, I got to put this one on straight. If you don't put it on straight on the block, you can't trust the block. And if you can't trust the block, I'm not going to stamp quite yet. I'm going to attach my flowers first because that's going to tell me where I'm going to attach my flowers. So this is 2 3/4 by 4 inches, this piece of designer paper, which means you're going to get probably 2 out of each sheet because 3 inches, 6 inches, it's the Bright and Beautiful paper is 6 by 6. Okay, so then I have a mat. And my mat was inspired by my flowers. I decided to go for the die cuts that were in Dainty Delight. And these, to me, They're probably more daisies, but they looked like sunflowers. So this is what I decided. You've got this large spray, this large die cut from Dainty Delight. And I did that out of lemon lime twist. I could have done it out of the paper, but there's not that much paper to do. I put it on this distressed brick folder. This paper to me looks like a brick wall, a distressed brick wall, and white looks so much cleaner than something like a red brick. So that's why we're doing a white distressed brick, in case you're wondering. Okay, what I'm going to do first is attach my paper to my mat, because my die cut is going to be a little bit bigger than my designer paper. So let's do that right off the bat. So 2 3/4 by 4-inch designer paper, and the mat here would then be 3 inches by 4 1/4, if that makes sense. I was looking at this paper and it looked like I didn't want to cover up so much of it. So I had a bigger piece of designer paper, but that would have meant a bigger mat, and then I wouldn't have seen as much of the brick. Isn't that such a pretty folder? Look at that. Just love that. Really, really love that. Okay. Let me, yeah, you know what? I can even attach it to this. Now that I'm looking at this one here, I'm going to attach it. And I thought about popping it up, but we're not going to pop it up. We're going to just attach it straight. And you know what I was thinking? I didn't really explain to you. I popped up this layer, and the reason I popped it up was especially because when I added my layer to my white, there were so many little nooks in here, so many little areas for the glue to get in, that my paper wasn't sticking. So dimensionals were the way to go. Okay, so in the Dainty Delight dies, there is one long die, and it looks like this. So I just cut one of those from Lemon Lime Twist, and I'm going to attach it right here off to the center, right off to the side, I'm saying, not to the center, to the side. And I'm just going to attach little dots. I use glue for everything. If you're really worried about it, you could use your adhesive sheets on the back of that. It makes it a little bit harder to die cut because it's a little bit thicker. But I can control how much glue that I squeeze out. So I don't normally make a mess with my glue, which is why I love using glue. So there we have it. And then what I did was I die cut one more, and I cut it in half. This was probably the bottom half, and this is probably the top half of that die cut. If you look at it, yep, there it is. And what I wanted to do was put this off to the side so that I could put my tiny little sentiment, which was not very big and didn't take up all that much room. I wanted that to have its space. So that's why I added. It was a little too empty without my extra die here. So we're going to go just like that, just like that. And then I die cut my daisies, or my sunflowers, whatever you want to call them. One at a time, but they cut out really, really simple. And then what I did was I popped them up because the mini dimensionals fit really well behind here. There's a perfect size for that. So I'm going to put a couple. And because we want to have an odd number, I did one like right there. And then I'm going to do, I've got them all die cut already. You guys don't need to watch me die cutting because most of you are probably demonstrators or customers that love your die cutting machine already, and you know how to use it. If you ever want me to show you how to use it, please comment that you'd love me to show you myself in action doing the dies, but it's just like coloring. You guys know how to color too. You don't want to see me spending time, wasting your time coloring. Okay, here we have the inside. Little dot, little dot. I've already popped up the flower. I'm not going to pop up my center because that would just be too much. And the centers are die. There's actually 4 of them, 2 that look rather triangular and 2 that look circular. And I thought for this, I only wanted the circular one, so I only cut 2 at a time. They also have the same little design that the center of the flower has, so that's kind of fun and cool. I love the design that it has. Almost like a polka dot idea. I don't know if you can see that. But anyway, that's that. I'm not going to put any pearls on this. It doesn't need it. I think this is perfect. Okay, so now this is where I was saying, I was talking before. I couldn't decide on the color. And then the other thing I was saying is some people get hung up when I give them a card base that instead of being, my card might be 4 1/4 by 11 inches, for instance, this one. And then for them, I cut this one, which is 5 1/2 by 8 1/2. Truthfully, it just happens to be what I have more of. I do a lot of my cutting and scoring ahead of time. So if I start with one that's in the drawer, I just pull that from my samples. I happen to like the yellow because I've already got the green in the leaves and in this thing. But what do you think? I'll have to ask you what you think. This one looks so fresh too. Love this one, but I don't know. Is it too much green? What do you guys think? You'll have to leave me a comment and I'll have to look later. But anyway, if you think it's too much green, I'm not going to put it on the card base. You guys leave me comments and I will post the card later. Oh, I forgot something. I haven't stamped it yet. Remember I said I was going to put the sentiment there? Well, let's get our sentiment out. I have the last sentiment from Dainty Delight that I wanted to stamp. And you know what? It's actually very fitting for this kind of die cut. And we will see it in 1 second. Let me just ink it up carefully because I don't want to get a halo now. I've done too good of a job not ruining my designer paper. So let's do that right now. Is it straight? I think this is how it was. Hoping for the best, guys. Oh, perfect. Good thing I trust the stamp. Isn't that so perfect? Sending love during the season of growth. And you can see, I can see it through the camera looking down over top. Isn't that so cool how there's shades of darker, shades of lighter, and it's just so pretty. So this is on the green. Very fresh, very summery. And this is the yellow. You know what I'm going to do? Because I have already done a yellow, I'm going to put it on the green. I think I do like it on the green. Oh, Susan says yellow. Okay, Susan, you win. I'll stick to the yellow. Thank you for watching. Susan's one of my class people. Lives right here in Linfield. Yeah, that's a really pretty card, isn't it? Oh, love all of these cards. So, of course, this is Thursday night's card class, and you can decide if you want to use the Courage and Faith stamps, or you can choose to use the Dainty Delight stamps, and you'll have an option for both, but here they are. This is the third one, which was actually the first one, and this is the fourth one. So this one, there's not a lot to that, but so you could use your own sentiment as well. But anyway, that's what I wanted to do. So those are the 4 cards. I had a great time. You know what? You know, on Sunday nights, I think, what am I going to do? And like I said, I had other ideas, and here, I'm going to flip down for a second. Let me flip back. I want to say goodbye to you guys. Anyway, sorry, I've been at work all day, so I look frazzled. I don't think I combed my hair since I got home. Anyway, one thing that I love is that these cards felt inspired, and I thank you for joining me. I loved sharing these cards with you, so I hope you did too. I always think I'm not going to have anything to share, and then something magical happens. I love you guys. Have a great night, and I will see you soon. Bye.